Kellyanne, what was the president's reaction? We saw he's been tweeting about it last night and this morning about this, saying it's a disgrace. He says that it's a deadly disgrace. Have you talked to him this morning, and what's his reaction?
Well, this news broke last night while there was a staff Christmas party here, obviously hosted by the president and the first lady. Shocked and saddened and really outraged. This is a president who, as a campaigner and now as president, has remained committed to not just the memories of Kate and all the other victims, but those angel moms and angel dads who so courageously and bravely went on the campaign trail with Donald Trump and have been here to the White House since then to meet with President Trump on actual legislation. Right. I've sat in the room with them. We've cried on each other's shoulders, and they have made very clear, these angel moms and angel dads, that they want resolution. As one mom put it here in the Roosevelt room, we want action. And that action is in the form of things like Kate's Law and No Sanctuaries for Criminals Act. The House passed it earlier in the summer, and we want action because this is very simple. This makes common sense to the American people, that if somebody has flouted the law, broken the law, is here illegally, comes back 5 times. Right. That's why folks want the wall built. That's why they want more agents at the border. That's why they want to make sure our brave men and women at the border have the tools they need, the equipment they need to keep the criminal aliens out and to keep the poison, the drugs out of our society. And then the No Sanctuary for Criminals Act basically tells our major sanctuary cities, you're not getting federal funding. Right. You apply for DHS and DOJ grants, and you know what you need to do as a threshold? Obey the law already. Right. And if you flout the law, you're not getting the money. This strikes many Americans as common sense. It's an outrageous verdict, and we will not stop until justice is served. Sure. And until there's legislation on the books federally that not just prevents this in the future, but also makes clear to these cities, you better stop putting criminal aliens before the safety and protection of our American citizens.
Kellyanne, right after the verdict, this illegal aliens lawyer, a fellow by the name of Matt Gonzalez, went out to the cameras, apologized, said essentially that he felt sorry for the loss by the Steinle family, but then he took a shot at the President of the United States in a fashion a lot of people are shocked. We're going to play a little of it, and then we're going to get your reaction.
For those who might criticize this verdict, there are a number of people that have commented on this case in the last couple of years. The Attorney General of the United States, the President and Vice President of the United States. Let me just remind them that they are themselves under investigation by a special prosecutor in Washington, D.C., and they may themselves soon avail themselves of the presumption of innocence and the beyond a reasonable doubt standard. And so I would ask them to reflect on that before they comment or disparage the result in this case.
Well, the president has commented via Twitter. What's your response to Mr. Gonzalez there?
It's just unconscionable that he would equate them. And this is what's happening with many on the deranged left. They have to make the president part of everything. You know what the president has done? He has invited people like Mr. Jamil Shaw Sr. As his and the First Lady's guest at the joint session of Congress last winter because his son, Jamil Shaw Jr., was killed in the prime of his life by an illegal alien, I believe also in that state. But the fact is that this president has nothing to do, that investigation has nothing to do with a criminal alien who had been deported 5 times, who was convicted 7 times. And for him to equate the two is really ridiculous. I don't know if he thinks he has to make some suit, but I'm sure he's looking for some kind of book gig or some kind. I'm sure he'll be a guest on TV shows all weekend, but it's actually, I don't even feel like dignifying with a response since the two have nothing to do with the other.
Well, don't worry, I don't think so, because a lot of other networks don't think this is important enough to cover substantially.
They're not covered. I noticed that this morning. I noticed that in their crib sheets too, when they send out their tip sheets in the morning of what's important to the rest of us. It's amazing what, again, parallel universes.
How is this
what
not
America
an important
says is
story?
Important to them. Yeah. It's important to everyone because the safety and security of this country comes first. That's what this president and commander-in-chief has made clear. Our safety and security, our prosperity and accountability and transparency. And, you know, is it such a coincidence that the representative out there is Nancy Pelosi? She's having a tough week, too. I don't know if she's made a statement here. I don't know if she's expressed sympathy to the Steinle family, because obviously their daughter is still murdered.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've still lost, but she's had a tough week. John Conyers is an icon. Then he should resign. She doesn't know where she is on sexual harassment, particularly if the perpetrators, the alleged perpetrators, are in her
Well, one
party.
thing is clear, Kellyanne, she does not like your tax bill, and it doesn't seem to matter. In the Senate last night, you guys, they stopped voting in the Senate last night to do it again today. They're supposed to take place before noon, but it looks like Deficit Hawk, Senator Corker, Flake, and Johnson weren't able to pass the trigger mechanism necessary, the parliamentary procedure reason, in order that would kick in if the deficit started growing under this tax provision, under the president's tax reform. Because of that, nothing was voted on last night. How would you characterize the president's mindset with the delay?
Well, they'll be voting on it today. They expect to vote later this morning. This is the process, and we're watching it with rapt attention and a great deal of optimism. The president executes the laws. He is ready to sign into law before the end of the year. Meaningful tax cuts for the middle class, a reduction in the corporate rate, repatriation of trillions of dollars in wealth parked legally overseas, and, of course, simplification so we stop wasting so much time and so much money, billions, each year complying with this code. And so we're watching the process. We feel very optimistic, and we're very happy that all of these senators who had concerns and had ideas have brought those to the fore ahead of the vote.
They're in the game.
We'd rather hear that ahead of time. They're in the game. We still are waiting for Democrats to come to the table. We know that there are constituents in every single state that want tax cuts, job creators that deserve tax cuts, and we know that this GDP, the GDP with 2 consecutive quarters of over 3%, readjusted just yesterday, the day before, to 3.9%, even though we had the hurricane spending, and rightfully so. And then you've got the 63 or so record stock market highs. You have the Dow Jones hitting 24,000 for the first time ever. It was 18,000 the week President Trump got elected. 18,000, folks. That's not a rounding error. This is real progress. So just the anticipation, expectation of a massive tax cut for middle-class families and for corporate America, our job creators, has stimulated so much confidence and movement in the economy that now we need it done, and we'll get it done.
I was going to go on to the next topic. Did you have another question about tax reform?
Just real quick, I talked to one of the senators on the shelf back and forth this morning. So far, they don't know how they're going to get past this. Does the president feel as though he's got to play a role in trying to find the deficit concerns with this, or is he going to sit back? Do you know?
Donald Trump does not sit back. He is involved in every negotiation, every conversation with any meaningful piece of legislation. And the folks know they can call here, they can come here. He's been going up to Capitol Hill. They've been coming here. He's been working the phones. We are happy to have those inputs. Our legislative team, our National Economic Council has done a fantastic job up on Capitol here and here at the White House. But we're ready to, he's ready to sign it into law.
All right, Kellyanne, there are rumors that Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, is expected to step down in January. What can you tell us?
He's coming here for lunch today. I saw that in the president's schedule. So, and as the president said yesterday, Rex is here. He's at his job, and you always hear these personnel stories and the palace intrigue stories. I know that's a heck of a lot easier for lots of people than learning the finer points of massive tax relief, of learning the finer points of what repealing and replacing Obamacare would actually do for the 30 million Americans who don't have any.
But you could understand as Secretary of State.
But we've been hearing this for the whole year.
Yeah, well, so yes or no?
Entire year.
Yes or no?
Yes or no what?
Is he resigning in January?
Will he be there in a month?
Yeah.
Folks, you have to ask the person if they're resigning. I don't know anything. I don't know people's intention. I'm telling you what the president said yesterday.
Okay.
The president said yesterday he's here. Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State, is coming to lunch here today. He's scheduled to have lunch with the president today. That was already on the books. Everybody serves at the pleasure of the president, and everybody who was serving yesterday is serving today.
Sure. Would you say that story is inaccurate?
Which story?
The Washington Post story that says the Secretary of State Tillerson is out, Pompeo moves over, and Tom Cotton goes to the CIA.
What I would repeat for you is what the press secretary said yesterday on behalf of the president. I'll repeat it, which is that the Secretary of State is showing up for work today like he did yesterday. Right. And in fact, today he has lunch with the president.
All right. Okay. So I think this is one of those.
Stay
tuned. Yeah. It is indeed.
But again, you're asking me. But I'm sorry, you're asking me to project hypotheticals. I mean, are any of you going to be there next month? I sure hope so. You have the highest rated show in the morning by a lot.
We just wanted to know if it was true.
Yeah, because it's a story out there. It's in a bunch of papers, and I guess we don't have an answer.
That's okay. We get what you're saying. You don't know.
I'll be here.
Okay.
All right. Bye.